man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light, and, you know, has it ever occurred to you that instead of, you know, running around blaming me, you know, given the nature of all this new shit, you know, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it's not just, it might not be just such a simple, you know?
What's going on, everybody?
How you doing?
How you doing, Rob? I did a quick intro today because, guys, we don't have a whole lot of time this evening. But how you doing, Rob?
You know what? I'm doing well. I have to show. I showed you this before we went on the air, but I want to thank the guys at Mondo.
Oh, right out the
You know,
gate.
they said they had this X-Men Mondo animated series for me. I mean, Alex and was Patrick. Was Patrick and Alex?
Patrick Peter,
Thank you.
sorry.
What's that? Peter. But I say, you know, I was thinking Patrick Stewart because we've been looking at all these Star Trek figures.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, right. No. So I want to thank Peter for this. Not Patrick Stewart. That's a different thing we'll talk about a little later. But yeah, this is very cool. So these Mondo figures, these Mondo X-Men figures are must-buy figures. I now have to get all of them.
Dude, they're awesome. I love my Wolverine.
They're awesome.
I love my Wolverine.
I need to get them all.
Yeah. No, guys, listen, tonight, because we're gonna try to get done here by 8 p.m. Pacific Standard my time tonight, because I know everybody's got a few things. You have something actually.
Well, I have a show with Lael at 9, but I have a show. For those of you who don't know, there is a documentary that's going to air tonight and on 3 other consecutive Saturdays for the next, well, if you include tonight, 4 weeks. 1982, the greatest geek year ever. And it's a look into movies and pop culture of 1982 and why 1982 is the greatest geek year ever. I'm actually on it. I'm interviewed with all kinds of filmmakers and much more famous people than me. And it should be really fun. I've seen just clips from the documentary, but it looks great. I've heard it's great. It's getting great reviews. So that's on the CW tonight at 8 o'clock Pacific time.
This is it right here, right?
That's it right there. There's a trailer. I'm in this trailer. So
wow. So is it all about 1982?
It's all about 1982, which is, from a movie perspective, one of the greatest geek years ever, because of how many movies came out in such a. It was clearly the greatest summer movie season of all time. I mean, Conan the Barbarian, The Road Warrior, Poltergeist, Star Trek II, E.T., Blade Runner, John Carpenter's The Thing, Tron, and then lesser movies like Megaforce. But they all came out within the same 2.5 month period of time. It was insane.
Wow.
Star Trek II and Poltergeist came out the same day. Blade Runner and John Carpenter's The Thing came out the same day. E.T. came out a week after Star Trek II and Poltergeist. Rocky 3 came out.
Hey, there you were.
Yeah.
That was you.
That was me.
You. Where you
that
at?
was me. I talk a lot, you know, about the.
I might have didn't rewind it enough.
No,
it was right after Con. That's
there
perfect.
You go.
There you are. Wow. Okay, so this is airing tonight.
That's airing tonight. This episode tonight is called The Summer of Spielberg.
Oh.
And then next week is science fiction and fantasy. Then there's comedies and horror, which is the 4th week. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. It should be a lot of fun.
So wait, how many are there total?
There's 4 episodes.
Okay, 4 episodes.
4 episodes over the next consecutive Saturdays, 8 o'clock, and it's available on the CW. If you don't have the CW in your neighborhood, locally, you can get the CW app for free and watch the documentary on the app. I think beginning tomorrow. I don't think it's available
it's like
tonight.
The day after, or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, that's awesome. Okay,
yeah.
So we'll be watching that. So anyway, that's why we're going to be a little, try to wrap around 8-ish our time. Brother Cousins and Lael should be joining us shortly. So I will just say what's up briefly to everybody. Dokinator in the house. Hot Toys Nightmare. What is up, my man? Boba Fettuccine. Let me tell you something about Boba Fettuccine, man. That dude is awesome, man. He's been around a lot of cool bands, dude.
Is that like Boba Fettuccine? So instead of getting it in your iced tea, you get it in your fettuccine. You get boba in fettuccine.
You mean like boba tea?
Yeah.
Oh man, do you like that stuff?
Is it? Well, I've never had boba fettuccine, and I want to try
either. I haven't either. But no, but shout out, man, it's awesome, dude. Dinesh also in the house. Lane Kramer, what is up, dude? We got Force Unleashed, Louis Labitz, CT603. That's absolutely right, dude. Vehicles and figures drop and arrive on doorsteps. Join us in Discord for live member unboxing, posing, and 𝗦𝗔𝗩𝗘 case display case instructions. It is fun, guys. You guys come check out our Discord, man. We have a lot of fun in there. There's people in there right now, actually. They should be here. But
I'm gonna look up a shipping on my
snow speeder.
Oh, although I haven't. I don't think I've got anything because I shipped it Friday, so it just says I haven't gotten anything from the shipping company yet.
Oh, well,
I've waited. It'll come in Monday.
Okay.
I mean, it won't come in, but Parcel will probably send me something on Monday. Which Jazz Inc. is really fast in terms of shipping.
Well, he should be with those shipping costs, man. I mean, I like Yoast, but that's expensive. So it's like, all right, let's get it quick. We're gonna FedEx it, something like that. Dinesh, my man, trying to decide which version of the X06 data to get. Well, I cannot really give you that answer that you may be looking for. However, Rob might be able to.
The answer is both.
The answer is both, huh?
Always.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm you know that song that Ice-T sang, I'm Your Pusher?
Yes.
That's me.
You are the pusher.
My advice is always to buy it, and if there's two different versions, buy them both.
Buy them both.
Yeah, or unless you're talking about the standard version or the EX version. You want the standard version with all the swag, with the multiple spots.
Well, yeah, I will say that. You do get 2 spots. Here we go. You do get the 2 spots. 2 versions of spots and the alternate head sculpt. So, I don't know. Dinesh, I would listen to Rob's... probably Rob's advice on that one.
He might have meant with the new data because the other data is not up for sale because it's sold out. Yeah. So you always get the one that has all the swag. Although X06 has it reversed. You want the standard version, not the EX version, when normally you'd want the EX version.
Right. The essentials is literally like just means like the bare essentials.
You don't want that.
Yeah, so if you try to think of it in that terminology, standard is like what everything should be. The essentials is just kind of bare minimum. So, yeah, 2 spots, 2 heads. Eric also in the house. That data looks great. Appreciate. We've got CT, my man. But yeah. So, and that's going to be going, I think, until what is it, July 26th? I think July 26th, guys. So if you want to get your pre-orders in, that is the cutoff date. CT says Dutch government collapsed today.
Well, it collapsed on Friday.
Okay.
Over immigration reform.
Before they lock it down.
Well, hopefully it'll get out the door. I mean, hopefully but then again, I think Parcel is not a Dutch government affiliated. I mean, who knows?
That would be interesting.
It collapsed over immigration.
Is that what it was about?
Yeah. Asylum seekers. I mean, as you can see, immigration's worked out really well for France. Oh, I'm kidding.
Well,
I mean, how many cars got burned in the last couple weeks?
A lot.
Thousands. I mean,
I don't know what's going on these days anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Hey, if you're going to immigrate somewhere, why not, like the culture that you're immigrating into? Learn to live there. Learn the customs. Why does everybody expect the world to change to bend the way they want it to be?
I blame social media.
Yeah, I blame that. It's hard to live in civilization.
Well, yeah, I mean, most of us would probably. Well, I don't know about all of us, but be nice to kind of just live out in the woods, man. Isolated.
Yeah, but even that's hard. I mean, it's funny when I'm from Seattle, and when they took over part of Capitol Hill, they made the CHOP. They took over a park and everything.
Mhm.
It's really easy to take over a city that's already been built.
Well,
When you have sidewalks and running water and bathrooms and all that, that's really easy. But to build a society from the ground up, that's hard.
yeah, like if you just go out and you're like, okay, this is my land and there's absolutely nothing here. Get to
Yeah.
work. Like it's a little, yeah.
I mean, it's. I almost feel like, yeah, let's just tear it all down and watch what happens to human society.
Did you ever watch that documentary? I forgot what it was called. I think it was like 10 years or so ago. And it was something like what the world would be like if humanity just vanished.
I did watch that.
You know
And
what I'm
how
talking
long
about?
it would take for our buildings to collapse and everything
Yeah.
just go away.
It
Yeah.
was pretty badass.
Yeah. Although I'll tell you what documentary was really badass. The documentary about Wham. George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley. I watched that
Wait,
documentary.
is that the one on Netflix?
Netflix.
or-
Yeah, it's great. If
I
you're a
thought-
Wham fan, it's great.
Well, I mean, they're part of the 80s.
Yeah,
For
they
sure.
were. You know, I was a big George Michael fan.
I like George Michael. He
I
was
mean,
cool.
he was a great pop vocalist.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the women loved him.
They loved him, and they
Yeah.
talked all about that. It was a very uplifting video, documentary. By the way, I thought it could have been depressing, but it really wasn't.
No,
It was
Oh,
good.
I might check it out then. It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
right?
it was a good documentary. I recommend it.
Bob Dylan says we can smuggle it inside a snowspeeder shipper. What the hell? Oh, it's funny. Oh, we need to sneak Yost out under the cover of night. That's what they're referencing to. Oh yeah. DT and Bob, that shit's funny, man. Yeah, I didn't know it was even up. I saw a picture for it, but I didn't know if it was a real thing. The documentary, the Wham.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Okay, all right. Well,
It's good.
I'll check it out. Man. But anyway, I don't know. Well, I figured I'd wait for Lael and Jay before I talk about these figures. But other than that, did you get anything else in other than the Mondo stuff this week?
Not anything that I haven't shown already. The Night Out Spider-Man, I got that.
Oh, and you've kind of messed around with him a little bit. He poses
Yeah,
good and everything?
it's really great. It's a really great figure.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a terrific figure. So
Oh, he looks
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's really cool.
I just
really
couldn't
cool.
do all the Spideys anymore. Like I've got my classic, and I think I'm.
Yeah, I gotta. It just comes to a point where there's only so many of the same figure you can buy. I mean, there's a few Spideys I want to get. Like I never got the integrated suit. I mean, I have Iron Spiders, so I never got the integrated suit. But I do want to get that at some point.
Is that the comic Iron Spider or
No,
the,
that's the No Way Home one. Yeah, that has.
Oh, okay,
all that stuff on it.
okay.
And it's a great. You can still get it. It's not like it's hard to get, but I just didn't get it.
No, it's not. Are you planning on? Because I'm curious, because I know there's a lot of people in the chat as well. But are you planning on doing like the whole No Way Home line?
No, because I have the third party. I have the third party Green Goblin. I don't need the Hot Toys Green Goblin. I don't care. And then I have the third party Doc Ock. What is that? Toys Era?
Oh yeah, like the Fiend and the
Fiend and I've got those. I mean, and they're in I have a 𝗦𝗔𝗩𝗘 case with a spider display. And it just gets to the point where I'm like, how many more Spider-Men do I need? I mean, I would like to get more like I didn't get the Spider-Punk, but I want to get the Spider-Punk.
Oh, he's so cool looking.
Yeah, and you could get him up until Across the Spider-Verse came out. I'm sure it's all gone now. But
I think so.
I like that figure though. It's good.
See, here's the thing too. Like I calculated it, and it's kind of and I know we don't like to do math here, but that whole like No Way Home line it's up there. It's like $3,000-$4,000 for everything.
Yeah. See, I don't need the whole all of that.
No, that's most of the Enterprise bridge.
That's right. That's right.
We have to prioritize collecting, right?
That's true.
Are you really gonna do it?
Well, I mean, I might start.
Okay.
I mean, it's the kind of thing that I've always wanted. The problem is, it's up to X06. I need my classic bridge crew. Because we have no I mean, the QMX figures exist,
Right.
but we don't have any classic Trek figures yet, other than the motion picture figures. We're getting Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, nothing yet.
I mean, we got Mirror Sulu and Mirror Spock.
They could work.
Yeah, you only need 2 guys to run the bridge.
Why not?
It's a computer. Come on.
I mean,
man.
that's what they do on the news shows anyway, right?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
They're all just hanging out talking on the bridge. I don't know. Strange New Worlds is I'm not really feeling it this.
Oh, dude, don't get me started. Well, you can't get me started if you want, but then everyone will leave.
Everyone will leave. I know. No,
Everyone will leave.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are into it. Some of them like it, some of them don't watch Star Trek, but I agree. Like, it's just, I'm not really feeling this new stuff. Other than, like I said, season 3 of Picard, that was gold.
Yeah, it was gold. It was gold.
Yeah. I just don't know what they're gonna, without getting too into it, I just don't know what they would do after that. I don't know if, there's even a platform there to be like, hey, let's continue this in some respect,
Yeah, no, yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I'm the same. Perfect
By
timing,
the way, did you guys see, the I don't know if you saw this, but, and I know it's Toys Wonderland, I get it, but MMM Toys made a 6-scale saloon bar, like a counter with bar stools, like a 6-scale bar. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey,
or gentleman.
What's up, Rob? What's up, guys? How y'all doing tonight?
There's a bar counter, and then there's a bar counter with, I mean, that's kind of what I find myself really interested in lately. Is I'd love to get this bar and have my Tony Stark like sitting at the bar nursing a bottle, demon in a, and have like Loki serving him. Have some, Tony. Have some.
That would be cool. Oh, so it's not like a Western bar.
Well, it is like a Western bar.
Or is it? Because I was thinking the back.
I mean, it isn't really. It doesn't look like an Old West bar because it has these high stools. But I mean, you can make it anything you want, really.
That's cool.
And yeah, it's pretty great. Or you have a Western bar, and you could set up. I mean, with a 6-scale bar, you could put anybody behind the counter. You could put You could put the different Batmen, and have the Heath Ledger Joker. You could have the Cesar Romero Joker just behind the bar serving drinks.
Yes.
That is actually cool. We're all about those types of displays and diorama. Those set pieces are just
storytelling. Yeah.
Yes. How are you, Jay? By the way, thank you.
Doing good. I'm so sorry that I'm late. It's just
it's okay. I understand life.
Been a crazy day. And I'm all for like no sleep.
Oh no,
so
really?
Doing reviews, and I was like doing reviews up until like 4 this morning, and then fed my kid a bottle at 5, and then she squirmed for 2 hours, and then woke up at 7. So yeah, I'm practically off of no sleep.
Well,
but I'm here though.
Well, I'm gonna try to wrap it around 11 your time.
That'd be great.
So that way, you have been busy though.
Yeah, a lot of reviews. Oh my god. Yeah, I need to slow down.
I was going to talk about, as you could, to the title guys, we had Fennec out, and then Costa, but you did the review already. You just put it up.
Yep.
Like, what the shit?
Yep.
You just
and Casca. Oh, hey, there it is.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Brother Cousins right there.
Look at that! Oh wow! Yep. So she's here. That's up, and Casca Reeves is actually in Baltimore right now, which means she could be here tomorrow. Well, maybe.
Where'd you get that from? How'd you get a Casca Reeves already?
That was from Tim Cent, toy buying agent.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yep, and I've been buying with him for a long time. I mean, way before I was even, ever on YouTube. I think I bought maybe my first couple. I think I bought my first couple Hot Toys from him. So it's been but ever since him, I did fall into the whole Toys Wonderland thing a couple years back, but since then I separated myself from them and been like, if I do get day ones, I get it from Tim. Yeah, and he gets my stuff out like 2 days. It's ridiculous. And I'm not paying that much over retail. Maybe like $40 to $50 over retail. But for me, I mean, especially for figures like this that I've been waiting for, I don't mind paying a little something extra. I don't do that with all my releases. I still buy heavily from Sideshow, and I support my local comic shops. With most of the purchases I bought this year, but there are some, the ones that I really, really want, and the ones that I just gotta have, I get them from Tim.
Oh, and I know this was one that you really wanted to get, man.
Absolutely.
She's out, guys. Yeah, I mean that's crazy, dude. Like, what are you thinking of her? I mean, I watched the review earlier, but I figured since we were talking about her, and I don't know if Rob's seen all the inner workings and details here, but
no, it's a great figure.
It looks good. I mean, in hand, she's amazing. I think the likeness is spot on. I mean, that is Ming-Na Wen, like for sure. That is her. I think it's the best likeness. I think it's the best likeness. Hey, Lumi, what's up, Lumi? It's the best likeness since and I think Mario said it best. It's the best likeness since Yondu. Honestly, and probably maybe even better because it's an actual. But Yondu, you can kind of get away with it with a little bit of things because he's blue, but you can still see Michael Rucker in that sculpt like dead on.
Yeah.
But with this one right here, I mean, you unwrap it. I was like, damn, that's a mini Ming-Na Wen. So I'm really impressed with what they're doing this year with the sculpts. I think they have kicked it up a notch. They're now acting like a company that has competition. And I think that's good. That is good for them to grow. That is good for us collectors, and that's good for the other companies out there. So I'm all for it. But I think this year it's been solid release after solid release. There have been some kerfuffles here and there, but for the most part, it's astounding with almost 92, almost 89 to 90 something releases from Hot Toys a year to get this much heat in 1 year.
It's overwhelming right now. I think we're well over 50. I don't know if you're feeling it. I don't know about you, Rob, but like there's so much heat coming everywhere that
I
can't. I'm like, there's no way I could possibly get everything. I am gonna get this Fennec. I don't know if you are though, Rob. I mean,
I will. I mean, I've liked the Mandalorians. So I have a lot of them. So I want to continue to keep getting them. To be honest, though, after season 3, I'm done with that show.
Me too.
I get it. I can understand that.
I mean, I don't mind. The Mandalorians are all cool when you set them all up, but I just, I thought that season was an incredibly disappointing season of television, especially when there's so much other good stuff on. But the figures are cool.
Yes.
And so I will buy, even if I don't like. I mean, what's really interesting is I never thought that my love of Star Wars would ever be tested because, and now I feel like between Obi-Wan and because I love Andor and I would get a Luthen and I would absolutely get a new Cassian Andor figure and huge fan of all that. But I just am surprised at how I guess I'm perplexed by Lucasfilm's inability to make compelling Star Wars. And I don't. I mean, Andor was the first. The thing is, Andor is the least toyetic show, the least toyetic Star Wars show. And look, I'll tell you, I'll buy that Vader. I'll buy the Obi-Wan Vader be with the cracked open faceplate because it's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that show was that they had to bring Darth Vader in at all. Young Princess Leia. I don't understand what their inherent need to do that is all about. Tell me a great story. That's all anybody wants. Well, everybody is looking for the exact same thing. We're all looking for the same thing. Nobody wants to dislike Star Wars.
No,
nobody.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the easiest lay in the world for Star Wars. Just give us something good. But it's so frustrating when a lot of these, like, look, I'll tell you what, I've been thinking a lot about this. I'm going to buy the old Indiana Jones figure from Dial of Destiny. I'm buying it. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't care about the movie. That figure's great.
Yes.
And to have, you can do something interesting in terms of displaying that indie figure with other characters. Like, I would love to get like an older Sean Connery figure and like make the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen of all old figures. Like get a Logan, and make them a team. So get old Indy and get all old figures, like old Magneto, old Indy, old Logan, and make a cool, like something that's never existed before. But from a figure standpoint, you put those old figures on a shelf, and that becomes cool. I mean, hell, you can do a display with old Han Solo from Force Awakens and old Indy. If you wanted to, and make him a whole team or something. I mean, that's kind of the way if the figure is cool, I don't care where it came from anymore.
And you know what, Rob, I kind of feel the same way. And I'm feeling it now because I had the old Han Solo. I had a lot of the stuff from the Force Awakens, and I'm now feeling a little bad that I got rid of that stuff, because at the end of the day, that's still those actors. You know what I'm saying? That reprising those roles at an older age. And I just think, even though, they were cool figures. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel bad that I got rid of those. I think at somewhere down the line, I'll probably be going after those again.
Yeah,
just because I want those representation.
I never had that Han Solo, though. I mean, I've got the 2-pack, the Han Solo Chewie 2-pack, the original from A New Hope for my Millennium Falcon. I had those before the Millennium Falcon cockpit, but the it's interesting. How do you want to display the figures? And to me, I look at that figure, that Harrison Ford face sculpt is so good. The figure looks so good that I don't mind that it comes from a movie that I found less than satisfying, because the figure exists, the character exists outside that movie. And imagine that if you're going to start taking action figure photographs or something, the scenarios you could put. Like you could do a great display with a Sean Connery Bond figure if you wanted to do some 60s photography of the old Bond. I mean, with a young James Bond from Goldfinger, say, and Indy, and imagine the photography you could get the two of them met somewhere, because they are contemporaries. So if you want, there's a great display, Bond and Indy.
That would actually be cool.
Yeah.
And I agree. I agree with what you're saying too. Totally, like with Star Wars. Sorry, I'm just watching Jay's review too, because man, she looks great. But
she looks great. I mean, that looks really.
And if I do say it so myself, I shot the fuck out of this. That looks good. I was like, damn, I shot that.
Yeah.
I think you did a great job. Are you using the new Sony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. How you liking it?
Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I love that camera.
Isn't it?
Love that camera. Best advice, I'm telling you, the best advice was listening to you and getting that camera. Seriously.
Can you say that one more time for the people at home?
Yeah, listening to you and buying that camera was some of the best advice I ever taken. Thanks.
No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I'm glad you like it. So for those who we both use it now, this the Sony A7 IV is it's a great camera, dude. It's a great camera. Really I will likely be bringing it with us to Vegas and doing some footage. I mean, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Yes, Hot Toys Nightmare, dude. Thank you, Mace. We have 47 announcements and 47 releases in 2023. Shit. There are still 67 Hot Toys with estimated releases for 2023, dude.
67?
Yeah, that are still projected.
And we're not even talking about like your other stuff out there, like your Ecto ones and Jazz Inc. vehicles and all that, and all the other statues and all the other awesomeness that's out there. So it's like, damn, This is going to be a year that everybody's going to be talking about.
If
Like,
you average out Hot Toys at $250 a pop, and some are more, but just 250 times 67 is $16,750.
shit,
It's a lot.
it's a lot of money.
That is a lot, dude.
It's a lot of money.
God damn.
It's a damn
Yeah.
vehicle. It's a damn vehicle.
See, now I like that. That's badass, Jay.
Yeah, I love it.
You have the fit on throne, right, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. It's a chair.
It's a chair.
Yeah. Had to come in. Had to come in. Dude, I'm telling you, like exactly what you're talking about. Like you have other 3-0, I'm getting their Stranger Things, Damn Toys is doing Resident Evil stuff. Blitzway, right? Kurt Cobain shipping next week.
He is.
I forgot about Kurt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about Kurt.
Yeah, so what that's the thing, right? And those of you, buying X06 or buying any other, third parties, Mars Toys doing all the 66 and 89, and oh my
I'm
gosh.
crying because I'm thinking about the Wrath of Khan, and Anthony, I know you ain't saying that, but I know it's right around the damn corner.
Why do you think I've been so quiet? Why do you think I've been so quiet?
Mm-hmm.
No, I know. And that's the point, right? We just don't have everything. We cannot get everything, dude. Yeah. Just try to run through a little bit of chat, guys, real quick before we move on. Francisco says, if you have read the books, comics, watched the movies, and follow the lore, even the retcon parts, you would understand it better. Shit, I don't know what you're talking about. This is a conversation in the chat. Are we talking about Star Wars? I don't know.
Do we know the difference?
Do we?
Right.
I don't know. Listen, I feel like it. $2 super chat. What's up? Will's my bitch. Hello, everyone. What's up, dude? What's up, my man? Thank you for the chat, bro. Alan, what's up, Alan? Alan is here saying hello, my friend. Let's see. Evangeline Thundercat saved Fennec's life.
Thundercat saved Fennec's life.
Was this the thing in the Boba Fett show? I don't remember. Because I'm with Rob on that, dude. I've Star Wars is not really.
I just think, to add on to that, this season, it just wasn't what any of us expected. I think when we saw Luke take Grogu and they went through those doors, and with that amazing episode and at the end of that amazing season, to know 2 years later, 2 years down the line, we would get the season that we got, I think everybody would be like a little upset. Honestly, it was a lot of good things with the season. I do think so. I still found some parts enjoyable, but it just wasn't what we expected. And I think they set us, and it's not a thing where people can be like, well, it's their story, you can't expect that, you just meant it's their story to tell. No, certain things we were expecting to get, if you look at how that ended. And I know they did the whole Book of Boba Fett thing, and even that was kind of weird to even have those episodes that pretty much was season 3 Mando within another season. I was like, I'd rather just have gotten a Boba Fett story, and not a Mando coming to save the day.
Yeah.
It was just weird how they did it. And I'm like, how do you I equate that the same way with having a sequel trilogy and not having any of the original characters in one shot together. Like, how do you do that? It's a sin. How do you do that?
Yeah, and not only that, just the direction they chose to, like here's the thing: we all love Star Wars, but we love Star Wars because Star Wars and Empire are two of the greatest fantasy films ever made, and they were incredibly satisfying, and they changed the world, literally. And those two films, to me, Star Wars is defined by Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. It started to drift for me with Jedi. When I saw Jedi, I mean, if you look at Jedi, even the way it's shot, Like when you see C-3PO and R2 roll up to Jabba's palace, they go from an exterior shot to being clearly on a set that looks like a set.
Yeah.
You know, and there are things in that where R2 and 3PO fall headfirst into the sand and they get lifted up by these magnets. Like, come on. And it's clearly a fake, you know, a painted, like they shot that on a studio as well. And there's so many things in Jedi that are a step down from Star Wars and Empire. And I understand why. And I'm not just talking about the Ewoks. I'm talking about the actual, like when the Executor crashes into the Death Star, the Super Star Destroyer, and it just looks like somebody turned on a bunch of flames that go up, and you're supposed to believe that when it's a bad effect, you know. And there's a lot of shoddy stuff in Jedi. And it especially if I don't know when the last time you did this was, but take the original versions, not the special editions.
Sure.
But if you watch the original versions back to back to back, like sit down for 6 hours and watch Star Wars, watch Empire, when you get to Jedi, even the dialogue and the way people are talking to one another it's like you're watching a TV show compared to a movie.
That is interesting.
There's a lot of people that Star Wars, their first experience with Star Wars was Jedi in the movie theater.
Right.
Well, mine was
and I fall into that category. So that's why, like, I see it with loving eyes. But,
yeah, everyone loves Jedi. But if you think about Jedi, it has a great beginning and a great ending. The entire middle of the movie is inconsequential. It's just marking time. You know, let's hang out with the Ewoks. Why? What does the Ewoks have to do with furthering the plot? And then you have to make a obligatory trip to Dagobah. What does that have to do with anything? Why are you going back to Dagobah? Just so somebody can tell you, you know, there is another, your twin sister, whatever. All that. It's Return of the Jedi is a bad movie. I'll flat out say it. It's a bad movie if you analyze it from a storytelling point of view. But nobody buys that because. But for me, it remains the single most disappointing movie I've ever seen in my life was Return of the Jedi, because I loved Star Wars.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Hold on, but you know what? Hold on. I got
Leo.
Yeah.
Leo's heard me say this.
Leo's quiet.
I don't know what you just walked into, but you heard it right out of
He's heard me say it. He knows. He's heard me say it.
All right.
Yeah, it's nothing new. I mean, I've definitely heard it before. I mean, it's a difference of opinion for a lot of people. I like, for me, the trilogy itself was monumental for me.
Yeah, well, I just want to.
And with, you know, New Hope, you know, well, I call it Star Wars because, you know, again, it started as Star Wars before, you know, they renamed it New Hope, to Empire, to Jedi. The importance of the saga itself was it was cohesive. I thought it was the most cohesive that they could have ever done. Cohesively, it was incredible. You know, and in the franchise, I'm going to stick and always say that the worst film ever done was, you know, Rise of Skywalker. That was the worst.
Yeah.
You know, even though I found there were certain things in it, elements in it that had a level of importance. The conversation between Luke and Rey, the conversations that they basically had, I loved. But as far as the original trilogy, OT, I think it was cohesively done. Jedi, for me, it stuck a little bit different because, again, I mean, it takes me back to, again, I'll say the word that probably haunts a lot of people, nostalgia. But for me, it was the simple fact that, I mean, I remember Sunday morning, Cisco and Ebert, you know, seeing that trailer for the very first time, seeing the speeder chase, and I knew what I was getting myself into at that point. You know, going to the theaters and seeing it for the first time, staying in the theater with my dad for 3 hours. I mean, for actually, no, 6 hours. Because we stayed and watched the film back to back twice. That's when you could pay $5 to go in the Eric Theater, 2 twin theaters, and you stayed there an entire day. My dad would go back, get refills of popcorn, bring it back in, and we just kept watching. But that's what it meant for me. But I think that, you know, it was the weaker out of all three. But I think as a whole, I think it told a really, really, really good story. And I got for me, the Dagobah part was really important because it was a sense of fulfillment. It was what Luke needed to know. And the really reason why I say that is because when he went back to Dagobah, it was a conversation, and the most important thing, you know, that Yoda could tell him, you know, when gone am I, the last of the Jedi, you will be. However, you have to face Vader. Now, he wasn't saying you had to kill Vader. He said you had to face Vader, face him for a particular reason, because you had to face the importance of that was what you failed at in the cave. Originally, what you failed at in the cave is because you seen a splitting image of yourself. It was an image of who you are based on that fear, but you have to detach yourself from that fear. And that's why he had to face Vader in Jedi, to detach himself, to become who he is supposed to be, facing that fear, but also remembering that hubris, that arrogance is one thing that can destroy everything at that particular point. So I think that it was an important conversation, one that he needed to know, but it was a sense of fulfillment because he had to go back, and what he believed what he was doing at that time was fulfilling or completing his training. But the lesson was already learned before. The physical portion of it, everything that he needed to know about the Force was there, but overcoming the emotional attachment, and his emotions were things that he needed to know. So that's what I loved about it.
Well, I would say that, Jedi ends in grand fashion. The end of Jedi is terrific, and the confrontation between Vader and the Emperor in the throne room is great. What I just, to me, especially having read the Rinsler making of books, Return of the Jedi is George Lucas's reaction to having a terrible experience on Empire Strikes Back. He almost lost control of, because the movie went wildly over budget. He wasn't there, when the movie was being made. And he didn't, as somebody who likes the edit bay, he didn't like how Irvin Kershner directed the movie, where he directed it in these wide master shots and there was not a lot of coverage and close up. So the movie had to kind of go together only one way. So, Lucas was never a big fan of Jedi, and of Empire Strikes Back. So Jedi was kind of his way of taking back the franchise. And I'll tell you something, what I would have loved though, I understand the whole thing about going back to Dagobah, but what I thought would have been really interesting is if Yoda had come to Luke, or we think Yoda had come to Luke, and Yoda comes to Luke someplace, maybe on the Rebel cruiser or whatever, when Luke said, "I'm with you too," because he's come back from Dagobah to join the Rebels. If Yoda had come to Luke, and the whole thing would have played out exactly the same way, but Luke is like, I was going to come see you, and Yoda says, "You don't have to come see me," and tells him all this information, and then Yoda says, I'm no longer on Dagobah," and then he drifts away, and you realize he's a Force ghost, or something like that. Because the thing about Jedi is it's full of these side stories that are just giving you these information dumps without a larger, like in Empire, when Luke is training with Yoda, everything you're learning on Dagobah is something new, and you're seeing these sequences like, can you lift the X-Wing fighter out of the water, out of the swamp?
Sure.
That is why you fell. And then Yoda steps up and does it. You don't look at me, judge me by my size, do you? And he shows you. So we're on this journey with Luke's training. We'll go in that cave. What's in the cave? Only what you take with you. So it's all really interesting, and you're learning all about the Force. In the whole middle section of Jedi, the great opening with the rescue of Han Solo, great swashbuckling opening. The ending is terrific. But the middle of that movie is kind of inert because there's really no plot. And that's what has always bothered me about, you have to go back and you have to see Yoda and Luke, but it's almost like there's nothing going on there. You're literally going into Yoda's house, watching him on his deathbed, and they have a conversation. It's not proactive. And from a screenwriting point of view, basically you're writing a scene that can't go anywhere. It's just a scene to convey information. There's nothing happening. There should have been one, in my mind, one last thing that Yoda had to show Luke, not tell him, but there was a now that he's confronted Vader, there should have been one last thing. So the scene between Yoda and Luke was a real scene, like something was happening, and Luke had to do something, and that was Yoda's final lesson that he was imparting to Luke, because he knows the next thing that happens is you're going up against the Emperor and Vader. And I can't just tell you that you have a sister.
Right. I can see what you mean by that.
You know what I mean?
I get that.
There should have been...
But it's so interesting to hear you say that from a technical writing aspect. And it's funny. I was in school when I had a buddy that said the same thing that you said, Rob, about it. And for me at that time, this was probably like 20 years ago when I was in college, and I was just like, "What the hell is he talking about?" Because I could only look at Empire. I could only look at Return of the Jedi with loving eyes because of a different generation. I grew up with it, but hearing it from a writing perspective, damn.
Well, it's just an inert, compared to what you saw between Yoda and Luke in Empire, there should have been one last mirror sequence where Yoda had a lesson to teach Luke, and it was up to Luke to step up. What are you going to do in the cave? He still went in the cave.
I think that, but that's my thing. I think that the point of him going back to Dagobah, that there was a lesson to be learned. There was a lesson. There was a last ditch lesson that he gave Luke, and that point was for him to let go. The point of it was, if he had gone to face Vader without going back to Dagobah, the thing is, he was still taking that. It was the attachment to not knowing what he needed to do, but did he actually have the courage to do it? Did he have the courage, knowing everything that was on the line? I think that conversation was needed, because had he not gone back to Dagobah, and had he not talked to, because remember, there wasn't a conversation that he had at that point with just Yoda. He had a conversation with Obi-Wan as well. There were things that he did not really realize. There were things that he needed to take with him. And what he needed to take with him was the consequence of his actions if he did not face Vader as he was supposed to. You not only are you basically talking about a galaxy that's on the line, but at the same time, not knowing and really understanding, even though he had an inkling of it, your sister. That is your sister. Whereas if you don't do it, then what if he basically seduces your sister? What if he finds your sister and takes her? So when you're looking at that aspect of it, and you're looking at the conversation that he had, Yoda was a piece. Again, it was Luke who made a promise to go back to Dagobah after he completed, or he failed at a mission. At least he helped. But I think it was his way of going back. You know what I mean? Going back to fulfill a promise. He went back, and then he had that conversation with Yoda at that point. And I think that conversation was really, really important, because again, hubris, you don't want to be too daggone arrogant thinking that you are a Jedi. No, there's still things that you need to do. You may have learned everything that you needed to learn about the Force, but emotionally, there's certain things you have to learn for yourself, but you have to also understand that your destiny is to face your father.
I'm with
you.
I'm with you, but the first rule of screenwriting is show, not tell. And all Dagobah is two conversations. There's nothing going on from a filmmaking. But don't you think
that might be interpretive though? Like well, not interpretive, but it might be from a point of view, from a certain point, because everybody has their own perception of how they believe it's supposed to be. But maybe like if there's so much you can do in pure we talk about this all the time. Like I'll make this reference. We go back to like this episode before the last. I think it was like episode 2 of Secret Invasions. That conversation that Rhodey had with Nick Fury, that was the best conversation I have ever had, and I didn't need to see what was going on. I didn't need to see what Rhodey did, or the meeting that he had, or when he found out about the scrolls. I didn't need to see a lot that they were talking about, but it was just a conversation that meant so much. So I get that, it's show, don't tell, but at the same time, in certain points, and from a certain point of view, sometimes if you tell without showing, that means more, because the conversation is meaty. I
would agree with you, but television is a different medium from cinema, and there's so many memorable things in Empire. The relationship between Yoda and Luke was one where we saw things, where and that, because that's what movies are, and that's just I don't disagree with you at all. But it would have been interesting if, rather than Ben telling Luke, that something happened that made, or there was some final thing where Luke realized these things himself, because because Yoda never told in Empire. Yoda never told Luke anything specific. He's what's in that cave? Only what you take with you. Look at me, judge me by my size and where you should not, because my ally is the Force.
Right.
and a powerful ally it is. Yoda's not going, your ally should be the Force. No, Luke has to find that out on his own.
On his own.
And when Luke's like, I can't, it's too big, I can't do it. And Yoda's like, I cannot teach him.
To Lael's point, though, like he was supposed. I mean, other than maybe adding some more scenes, like you were saying, like he did say he was going to come back, so I feel like they had to show that at least in Jedi.
Well, they could have done that, but I think he goes there, and the scene is Yoda's sitting on his deathbed, dying, and it would have been great if Yoda had one more important lesson to impart to Luke that only he could have imparted to him, and it was an actual thing.
See, I look at it through a different point of view. I get where you're going with that.
I mean, for me, it's pointless to have the conversation really because it's not. It didn't happen that way. So it's like we all we have is what we have. So
I just feel like with him going back, the way I saw it in my head was that he went back to train. I don't know if it's written that way, if it's deliberate, whatever, if it's just my own headcanon. He goes back and Yoda is on his deathbed. Yoda is gonna die. Obi-Wan is dead. Now Luke is fucked. Like he can't complete training. He has to, you know what I mean? He has to finish his journey on his own. And I thought that.
But you see, he already did that in Empire. He already left and confronted Vader and survived.
But he failed.
But did he fail?
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
the reason why he failed because he went in. One of the biggest reasons why Luke failed, bro. The most important reason, and what his failure in the cave was what? Only what you take with you. It wasn't, and when we think about it, is the weapons were for what? To protect himself. Why? Because of fear. So when he went and faced Vader, he faced Vader with a level of fear, not the confidence that he needed to face him, but it was fear. And what Yoda was trying to teach him was you have to let go of your fear. Let go of it, because you're attaching yourself to the emotion. You're attaching yourself to harm that they can basically cause your friends. It is that level of fear and that consequence that you went headstrong into an opponent who capitalized on your fear, who could sense it. And
but look at what happened at the
because
end.
Of it.
But he didn't defeat him. Luke let go and let himself go and would not succumb to Vader and threw himself down the exhaust port. And fell into the abyss. He faced his fear. It might have been brutal, but he came through it on the other side, and he lived to fight another day. And the thing was, he didn't have any help. He had no backup. He took on Vader. Vader was there with a lightsaber to his throat, and Luke still did not succumb. He prevailed. He survived that. He survived where anybody else probably would have died. But, Vader had other things to tell him, too. He survived. He found out a revelation that Ben and Yoda didn't tell him. Vader's your father. That was something they kept from Luke. And Luke hearing that information from Vader and realizing, search your feelings, this to be true. If Luke had stayed on Dagobah, he might never have learned that truth.
He would have, I think, but I disagree there, because I think he would have learned the truth. The reason why I think he would have learned that truth is because facing Vader, if he would have stayed on Dagobah, if he would have trained, it like just the pure level of training. The thing is, fear clouds everything inside, bro. Fear, what does fear do? You make mistakes because of fears. You make invalid choices. Your fear causes you to lie, steal, kill. When you're back in the corner, you don't want to hear anything else, because you're protecting everything. You're protecting yourself from harm or anyone else by any means necessary. Had Luke gone in with the level of training and letting go of that fear, there's a lot he would have learned. Yes, I'm pretty sure Vader would have told him who he really was. With that feeling and him searching his feeling, it's like it's not to the point where, okay, yeah, I notice you're my father. Yes, he could go to the dark side. He could still choose not to, but at the same time, he's going into it with the full level of understanding that, look, my fear is something that has been holding me back. And I know what Vader is doing is trying to tempt me with that level of fear, even telling me that he's my father. That right there, beyond that, I say, okay, cool, I know, but it's your choice. It is your choice. You made a choice to go down that road to the dark side. I choose not to. You could change. If you don't, that's on you, but I choose not to. in this particular point, he was confused, and that caused even more pain, even more fear, because you're finding out that this person, this threat to the galaxy is your father. And now you have to make even more of a choice. You weren't ready to get that information. You weren't ready for that. You weren't ready to actually get, it's like an upload of information that you're not really ready for. And now your emotions are everywhere. Now you got to go back, lick your wounds. And there's a lot. And here's the thing, there's a lot in between that we don't know, between Empire and Jedi that we haven't seen, that was covered even in novels. But at that same time, I think that was the importance of him finding and facing his, well, actually the defeat meant a lot more, because that defeat taught you a lesson. Now you know that you got to buck up. You got to buck up. You got to go back, lick your wounds. They're telling whatever Yoda told you was important. Now you realize that you went in, and hubris was the reason. What did he say in the very beginning?
See,
I'm not afraid.
But
he said, I'm not afraid. But he said, no, you will be. You will be.
Of course. But I think you're missing something here, because when we see Luke between Empire and Jedi, when we see him go to rescue Han Solo and come down and talk to Yoda, talk to Jabba, he's a different guy. He hasn't gone back to see Yoda yet. He hasn't he hasn't talked to Ben yet. And you see that whole rescue of Han Solo, that entire opening sequence is now telling you that Luke is not the same Luke that we saw in Empire Strikes Back. In confronting his father, he doesn't need to have a conversation with Yoda or Ben Kenobi to hear. He doesn't need to hear. All he learns when he goes back to Dagobah and Jedi is about his sister. He's already done. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He did not succumb to his fear. He threw himself off the gantry. And by going and seeing, Jabba, he goes in, he's like, look, man, you got a choice here. I don't necessarily want to destroy you. Just let Han Solo go and we'll be fine. And I'll leave. But that doesn't happen, and I think that it's I just think the movie Jedi was clunky in that I think it, like what you were saying, I think if Yoda had one more lesson to teach Luke, it would have made that movie better.
I get it. I mean, again, here's the thing. People are going to take from it what they will. And I get it. Like, I understand and respect your opinion and how you feel about it. I just think, for me, what we got, even him going to, when he went, to Tatooine, when he went to Jabba's palace, we went in with a level of arrogance and hubris, because he almost failed that mission. He almost died. He almost damn near died because of a rancor. Again, he went in with hubris. He went in thinking that his plan was solid. There were kinks in that chain. Things didn't really succeed. He had a plan B.
He was arrogant.
He had a plan B. He definitely had a plan B.
Well, he was also playing a part, though.
Yeah, he was.
He had undercover operatives, and
but
his big mistake was he didn't know Jabba had a rancor.
No, he didn't. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there was a lot. Here's the thing, bro. There was a lot that we need to learn, and sometimes we have to see past our own level of arrogance, bro. A lot of people, and that's one of the lessons we have to really learn in life, and I think that's what Luke had to learn.
Yeah,
arrogance is not the way.
That's Star Wars. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. That's Star Wars. I just think that, look, my ultimate point is we got the movie we got, and I can't sit there and say my way was better. I'm just saying that from a movie's perspective, I thought that if you're in a screenwriting class and you have two people sitting down having a conversation, the first thing the screenwriting teacher will tell you is that, what can you do to take the same conversation and turn it into an active scene instead of a passive scene? It's the difference between having an active and a passive voice when you're writing. And that's the whole thing, because they literally are planted in a location and nothing is happening. There's nothing going around. They're just having, and conversations are fine, but when we've seen if Yoda, rather than dying on his bed, maybe there would have been some one thing that Luke was able to get back, and they could have one more. And I don't know what that scene is. I don't know, but it could have been something really interesting visually that would have ended with Yoda's death. And Luke, can you imagine if Luke was standing there, maybe holding Yoda in his arms after accomplishing whatever this final lesson is, and realizing that was the final lesson, and Yoda died in Luke's arms after getting, or something like that. You know,
Sure, I can see that.
That's all I'm saying is that it could have been visually much more powerful than just two people in a room.
Well, I mean,
I get that.
What do you think, Jay? Because I know you've been listening on that too. Like, what?
I think both of y'all got great points, but I do understand what Rob is saying because, like I said, I've heard that conversation in school and when I was in school for creative writing about Return of the Jedi. So that's not the first time I've heard people say that, or heard somebody like Rob say that, especially people that have a background in writing and telling these stories. And like when Rob says a more of an active scene, it could have been. It definitely. I get it, but it's hard for me because, like I said, I kind of fall because we're of a different generation. So for me, it's like, what?
Well, and also
I dare you, but I do get it.
And look, that was the movie they gave us. So what do I know? They made Return of the Jedi. I've never made Return of the Jedi. I'm just a viewer. And I think though that what's interesting is there's two back-to-back passive scenes. There's the conversation with Yoda, then the conversation with Ben Kenobi, and they're both scenes where the characters that are talking to us are sitting down or laying down. And it, I would have liked, because if you think about it, like, look
at much movement.
Yeah, or from a visual standpoint, like if you think about the end of Star Wars, the lesson at the end of Star Wars and Ben Kenobi's final lesson is turn your targeting computer off. Use the Force. And Luke has a decision to make. Do I trust the Force? Do I trust what Ben Kenobi has been telling me? This is it, man. This is either I do or die. If I do not succeed here, the rebellion dies, and by all accounts, I'm going to die too.
Right.
And Luke chooses to believe Ben. He has ultimate faith in that moment. And that's the triumph of the Force. That's the triumph of Luke. That's the triumph of Kenobi's teachings. And that is the triumph of the end of Star Wars is Luke's first victory because he did not, he was a faithless man before. He didn't know that there was even faith to be had on Tatooine. And the Force, he'd never heard of the Force. He didn't know anything about it.
Right.
And he basically meets this wizard, guru, cult leader, wackadoo, like old Ben, who teaches this thing. And the triumph of that movie, is when Luke turns his computer off. And, even the rebels like, what's he done? He's turned his computer off. I mean, that was a moment of a man, in a way, receiving God. Damn. Because that's, after all, it's a religious conversion moment. And in the realm of Star Wars, he's correct. The Force is real. There is a energy field that surrounds us and binds us. And if you can tap into it, like Luke does in that moment, he saved the rebellion. He basically saved the galaxy, at least for the time being, from a planet-destroying weapon of incredible power. And that's why the end of that movie is such a triumph. Because Luke he's now walking the path. And I love that. I love that about Star Wars.
Damn. That makes me want to watch it all over again.
I'll tell you one thing. Guys. This is a great discussion, and it's a testament, though, Rob, that we're talking about it 40 years later.
Can you believe that? Yeah. Actually, what is it? 46 years later.
I mean, as far as Jedi, I meant, but yeah. Yeah, because it's 40th anniversary this year, and we still don't have hot toys. But
right,
you're right. 46 in general. We're almost. Shit, it's almost 50 years, man. It's a testament to the OT, man. It really is.
Well, I mean, all three movies stand, like Lael said, it stands as a perfect, story about belief and teachings and mentorship, and it's a great, I think it's a great, the human journey that, and it feels legit. When you get to the end of Jedi, at the end of that movie where Luke throws his lightsaber away, that's the ultimate. He's a fully realized Jedi. No.
Yeah.
When he says no and throws that lightsaber away, man, that's the promise.
It's
it's
the promise,
fulfilled.
but also him finally learning Again, just learning that fear, there's no need to have it. You know what I mean? No need, because again, the Empire, the Emperor himself, Palpatine, thrives on fear. That's one of the reasons why Anakin was so easily persuaded. His fear of death, his fear of losing Padme, his fear of not being the person that he knows he could be, his fear of not being, that thirst. It was the fear and also the thirst for power that Palpatine used, knowing that he can get him. Luke himself was a testament of what it means to let go of that. And I think even Vader, Anakin himself, saw that in his son. And he knew he was right. He knew he was right. But at the same time, he knew at that point it was just too late for him. And even when you think about that fight, and you think about the fight between Vader and Luke from Empire, compared to Vader and Luke in Jedi, Vader was holding back, bro. He was holding back in Jedi. It wasn't because he was weak. No, he was holding back. Because if anyone, between the both of them, he realized, I cannot hurt my son anymore. I can't. I refuse to hurt my son. And if there is a chance that a life could be saved, I'd rather give mine. And that's what it was. I'd rather let go and give mine.
See, I never saw it like he was holding back, but when you say it, like I'm rethinking the scenes.
Yeah.
Luke was just like angry kid.
Yeah,
almost. Like
he was that anger,
coming
that
out.
rage. Exactly, the rage. And certain things that Vader was actually saying to him, certain things that it was like he was prodding and poking, but he knew at that time that there were certain things that he needed to say. So Luke the anger itself, again, I mean, it was just a level of fear. We know that. But Vader was definitely holding back, bro, because again, he at that point was, enough is enough. This is my son. And even the Emperor felt that in Vader. He knew that his judgment was clouded because of what he felt. Vader felt everything. When Vader knew that his son was there and the Emperor did not know and didn't feel it, it's because, again, that's what Vader's focus. It was the love for his son. And that's all it was. It was the love for his son, realizing that was his son. You know what I mean? So again, it was a beauty. Despite what we may think, that scene alone, even the conversation that Luke had with Sebastian, so that's the person we know, Sebastian. The conversation he had at the end, and he said, "You were right. You were right about me. You were right. Tell your sister you were right." It was at that time we knew, in between that point of the confrontation and before he died, that he had let go. He had completely, and I'll tell people this, and I have been saying this for years. Anakin really was the chosen one, the one that would bring balance to the Force, and he did. When he let go and defeated the Emperor at that point, he was the one who brought balance to the Force. So he was really, despite how conflicted he was, Vader was the reason why balance was brought to the Force. Literally. So it was a beautiful moment at that point.
Yet somehow Palpatine returned.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, don't get me started.
We don't talk about that.
Look, I only say that because Rob was like,
we just explained this passion conversation we just had is no one's ever gonna have that conversation about the rise of Skywalker.
No, never. Never. Yeah.
No.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no. Because the thing is, that completely destroyed everything that was meant about Jedi, bro. And the thing is, look, and I don't want wish ill will, and I'm not even here to trample on J.J. Abrams. I just think it was a bad decision. It was a bad idea, and it just sort of like you've completely shit on everything that Jedi meant at the very beginning, at the very end. You shit on Luke's journey, the hero's journey at that point when you did that. So it's like, now there's other things you could have done with that film. The final confrontation between both, Rey, and Kylo. There's certain things that you could have done. It was just decisions that were made that were completely terrible. And that's why I can't think about that film. I can't. I just
It was
can't.
a mess. I remember when it was coming out. I remember they worked up to on they were working on that movie up until the last minute, trying to rework the ending to try to make it more favorable to the fandom, and it just didn't work. I almost walked out the theater on that movie.
I did for The Last Jedi. Like, I've never walked out of a theater in my life, ever. And like, I'm sitting there, I had Sean, a few other friends, and it was just like, we're 5 minutes in. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then that thought kept popping into my head about every 15 minutes. And I was like, dude, I'm checked the fuck out. Like, this whole movie, I was like, I'm ready to but I drove my friends because of just what they did to Luke and just so much. I mean, we don't.
Yeah, I don't even. And the thing is, bro, and I will say this: Force Awakens had so much promise. It did.
I agree.
It had a lot of promise.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that film. I enjoyed it because of what we could have got and how we could have moved forward. Even though, like, I always felt that with the sequels, if you wanted to basically, I felt as though Luke should have been the one. Luke should have been the one that found Rey. He should have been the one that was searching for the Rey. He should have been the one that was training her. Period. It should have started with and we should have seen all three of them, all four of them together. Chewie, Han, Luke, Leia. We should have saw that in the very beginning.
Yes.
At least give us that piece. If you're going to do it, just do it right. And there's a way to do it. Luke should have been the one to find Rey. Even knowing that she was a Palpatine, maybe it was a way to say, look, if one could be turned, if we can do this, maybe it can change the tide. If we can do this one moment because of what's stirring. But the problem was, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing with their third film. It was they didn't know they were going to bring Palpatine back. They had no idea.
That was a desperation move.
That's desperation move. That's all it was. Even the whole Reylo kiss at the end, it cringed. I cringed when I saw that. I was like, oh, why? Because it was fan service. You know, people were talking about that, so you wanted to give them that shit. Why did you do that, bro? Why?
I think the whole movie was
fan
fan service. Like, I didn't understand the whole thousands of ships coming in, and
I didn't.
But that's it. Yeah, that's not good fan service.
No, I know. That's my point.
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand what they did. I mean, we're talking about, you know, the original trilogy,
bro.
Return of the Jedi, and it's like,
I don't even want to go down that road, bro.
We'll never talk like that.
I don't even talk about
with
it.
Those, you know what I mean, with
shit.
modern Star Wars. But guys, man, hit that like button. Subscribe to everybody here on this panel. we, you know, we're passionate, man. We love Star Wars. We love sci-fi. I gotta point out Joel, man, this funny guy. I still love Star Wars, man. I just
and that's the thing is, bro, I said this the other day. Like, despite of the you know, certain decisions that were made, things that might have been wrong, I'm very passionate and I'm committed to this IP because it's been a part of my life and I love it that much. So I'm willing to be optimistic of, you know, hopefully something coming around. It's like I said, it's just like a team. I've been a Washington Redskins fan for years, and my team's a bag of shit. But I'm not going to let them go. I'm gonna ride with them to the end. I'm just going to ride with them because something will happen soon. You got to ride with it. You got to stick through the thick and thin, like the best and worst of moments. And right now, Star Wars is struggling, but I have a feeling, and I'm optimistic about it. Hell, come on, man. Y'all had your moment with Star Trek. Y'all had your moment. You had your moment with Picard. So stop. Right. Y'all had your moment. So
I had to endure Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks. I mean, JJ, there's 3 movies. Like, if it wasn't for whatever fortitude I have and the love for Star Trek, I mean, dude, that's over a decade of stuff that didn't make any sense. I mean, I had given up. I had talked to Rob, and you know, Rob was like, dude, season 3. And I'm like, no. And he's like, dude, season 3. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm done. But when he was like, no, really, I'm like, all right, okay. He's persistent. Rob wouldn't not have been persistent if it was not Trek. But that was my point. Like, how long can you go, bro? I'd given up. I literally given up. I was just like, I love the franchise. I love the IP.
Never give up. I will never give up, bro. I won't, because there's certain things. Look, we got Ahsoka coming next month. I have that. You know, there's certain things that I think will happen, bro. And I'm very optimistic. I love the IP too much to let go. I'll never let go. And if ever I feel like there's a problem, whatever, I'll just go back and revisit the sequels, bro. I mean, the OT films, the first. I'll go back and revisit those, bro. There's certain moments and things that I can take from films and say, you know what, this is why I'm here. So I won't let go, bro. As long as there's always going to be hope, and I'll be as optimistic as I possibly can. It's not for everybody, but just for me, it's I'm just gonna stick in, bro.
Let me ask y'all all a question. Do you think, like, the stink of a franchise, or let's shift gears a little bit, like Marvel, for instance, the MCU, and I think, ever since Endgame, the MCU has been kind of hit or miss. I think we can all agree to that. But there are some gems that came out, and I think personally with this Nick Fury show with Secret Invasion, I think it's a gem.
I think me too. I think it's dope as shit.
Yeah, but I think because of the stink of the other projects, a lot of people are kind of turned off. Do you think that's going on with Star Wars? What do you guys think about that?
I do.
Yeah, that's definitely what's happening.
I think I can agree with Rob on that one. Like, where I was like, look, we all love Star Wars to a point, but like I wasn't digging Mando. I didn't dig Obi-Wan. I didn't dig Book of Boba Fett. I enjoyed Andor. Now I feel that's kind of, I mean, I haven't watched much yet of Winter Soldier or Secret Invasion. I watched the first episode. I dug it. I want to watch the next two, but I'm feeling like that's where I'm at subsequently with the MCU. I didn't enjoy a lot. I enjoyed WandaVision, but some of the others not so much. And then I'm like, well, shit. So are these like weird sleeper hits that just come out, and it's just like to Jay's point. I mean, you can only try so much.
You know what?
Now here I am watching Secret Invasion.
You know what though, bro? And I had to learn this lesson myself, and I think part of the reason why, there's certain points in Star Wars that I'm able to enjoy certain things and look at it from a totally different view is because somebody, like I was watching, like sometimes I was as a matter of fact, I'm gonna have him on my show. So excited. I'm gonna have Rob from Comics Explained. I'm gonna have him on Comic Book Talk with Friends in 2 weeks.
Man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm definitely happy about that, bro. But I was talking to him, and the one thing that he told me was, bro, one of the biggest problems that we have in the comic book universe, and what happens even in comics, because we went through this before we even got the MCU, when certain things changed, when Spider-Man died in the Ultimate Universe, people hated Miles, but now they love him. Right. And it was because we aren't susceptible. We don't accept change. We don't like things to change because we're comfortable with things staying the same because it's what we know. When we have to learn things all over again, bro, we hate it. We hate to relearn and have to go back from scratch and start over all over again. So for me, I learned to, in a sense, let go of certain things. I had to kind of, as much as I love the OT movies, bro. I even have, and a lot of people will hate me for saying this, but I don't give a shit. I love the prequels. I do. I love the prequels.
There's an overwhelming majority of people in the chat right now that are in your favor.
The prequels, bro. I loved the sequel. I mean, I love the original OT, but I love the prequels because, say what you will, the prequels are a lot more cohesive than the sequels, because everything that Lucas wanted to accomplish with the prequels, he did exactly what he wanted to do. And there were certain things bro, Revenge of the Sith is a dope ass film. I don't give a fuck what people say. It is a dope film. And I think that was one of Hayden Christensen's best performances. The emotion between him and Padme at that point, I loved it. But the thing is, I had to learn to say, you know what? Let me let go and just see this new side of where they're taking Star Wars, accept certain things that will change, and just say, you know what? It's a new space. They're doing things. maybe not everything that I agree with, but they're trying new things. Not everything's going to stick, but there's an opportunity for things to eventually get better. So that's why I'm more accepting of it. Same with the MCU, bro. Same with comics. Same with the thing is, after we got Endgame, I had to flush everything out and say, you know what? Let me just swipe it away. No, let me forget about Endgame. Let me follow what's happening right now.
Hard to do though.
Not for me. Nope. Because the reason why is if I attach myself to people that I know eventually will go, then I'm gonna hate everything, because everybody was attached to, Tony Stark. They were attached to, Cap, what we got from Cap, those versions, those particular heroes. I wanted to see something new. I wanted to see them introduced new heroes. So again, now I'm not saying that everything that they've done thus far has been successful, because hell, there's been a lot of duds. She-Hulk was a dud to me. I'm sorry. Thor: Love and Thunder was a dud to me. I am sorry. I didn't like it. I was very somewhat divisive about even Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, because there was certain things I was like, I don't know. I liked Multiverse of Madness. People didn't. I liked the movie. I had fun with that movie. I loved it. So I liked, exactly. So the thing is, I'm not saying that everything was successful, but I'm accepting the route that they take, because I know that they have to stumble and fall before they can stand up again.
Yeah,
and we faced a lot of that. So,
right, from like saying, and Rob, you might agree with me on this, is that there's, and I'm not saying you're taking away from this, and I'm not going to use MCU as an example, but there's I think there's a difference between people, not wanting change versus people who are not wanting change from people that don't understand the IP. Was where I feel that for me, that's the stark difference, where I like change. Let's move forward, but understand and respect the IP. You know what I mean, Rob? Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at it is every IP is one great movie away from being revived. There's no such thing as killing an IP. What we are dealing with now is all of these things are owned by bigger and bigger. When Star Wars was first made, it was George Lucas's. It was his.
Yeah.
While he went to 20th Century Fox and they agreed to release it, and they financed the first movie after Star Wars, it was George Lucas's franchise. He paid for it all. He paid for Empire. He paid for Jedi. He paid for his prequel trilogy. He created, Lucasfilm. Pixar was an offshoot of Lucasfilm. They created Adobe Photoshop. I mean, there's so much that they did that was theirs. The problem with all of these venerable IPs now is they're no longer controlled by people. They're controlled by corporations. Right. So they've become so when they decide to make a movie, the corporation buys Star Wars for $4 billion plus. If you look at what George Lucas's stock was worth before Disney's stock plunged, George Lucas, because he got a lot of stock, his stock was worth almost $6 billion. So George Lucas got a great deal out of it. And it made sense to him, because he was getting up older, and what's he going to do with Star Wars? Give it to Disney. They had a great relationship with theme parks and everything else. There's both the Star Wars and an Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland and Disney World. But what happens then is that a corporation is not a storytelling entity. A corporation is a corporation that has assets, and you're supposed to utilize those assets to make a profit. Well, when you buy Star Wars is a product to be sold across all of Disney's platforms, whether it's merchandise, whether it's theme park attractions, whether it's cruise ships, all of these things. The problem is, at that corporation, there's nobody who understands Star Wars. There's only people who understand Disney and how to exploit, like, how does Disney do business? Well, here's all these people. And so the way Disney does business, we're going to plug our new product, which is Star Wars, and we're going to run it the Disney way.
Sure. Like they're just marketing, like
and it's corporate. Now, the problem is they want to create new Star Wars, which requires storytelling and an understanding of lore. What is Star Wars? And so they hire Kathleen Kennedy to be the head of Lucasfilm. The thing is, Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know what makes Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy's a producer. She doesn't have the formula. Yeah, she doesn't have the formula, and she wasn't a particularly big fan. She's a great film producer. How do I know
Right.
that? Because she has a track record over the last 40 years of producing great stuff. She
Yeah.
was then put into her position as Lucasfilm's president and CEO, whatever. And, you know, she knew Lucas, she knew Spielberg. But if you were to ask Kathleen Kennedy about the lore, she wouldn't be able to tell you. And nor should she, because that's not her job. She's not a writer. She's never been a writer. She's never written a screenplay.
True.
You know,
Exactly.
so people
Facts.
so it's like, why would anybody expect Kathleen Kennedy to understand anything creatively about Star Wars? That was never her job. Her job was to take visionary writers and visionary directors and provide them everything they needed to tell their stories. I mean,
Please say that again.
and-
Please say that.
Yeah.
Please say that one more time so people can fucking understand that, bro. Please.
Kathleen
Please.
Kennedy's job is not to write or direct Star Wars. It's not her job to pick the stories being told or any of those things. That's the writer and the director's jobs. What Kathleen Kennedy's job is to provide the writers and the directors all the things they need to realize their vision. That's what Kathleen Kennedy does. She's a great producer because she facilitates the vision of visionaries, and she does it well. What Kathleen Kennedy was not used to was having visionaries that couldn't do their jobs.
And there you go. And that's where I wanted to get to. The problem with the people not doing the job. Why we can't get the right people to do the job.
Well, and people are going to blame, if you look at Kathleen Kennedy, when she hired Lord and Miller to do Solo, that was an interesting choice. Young up-and-coming directors that made some great movies. And by the way, they're responsible for Across and Into the Spider-Verse. So this was not a bad hire.
Right.
The problem was Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote the script for Solo, is old school. You know, he directed his first movie in '81 after writing Empire and Raiders. Then he went on and made Body Heat, his writing directing debut. And the thing was, he's old school, so he expected his script that he wrote. I mean, he's not David Mamet, but he expected that script to be adhered to. Well, what happened was Lord and Miller come in and they like to improvise. They brought their unique 21 and 22 Jump Street take on the material. And I'll tell you something. It might have been good. We'll never know. But you know what? Kathleen Kennedy is now put in a position where Lord and Miller, 70% of the way through Solo, they were looking at Solo thinking that's probably pretty good, but Lawrence Kasdan saying no, it's not. And they decided to make a change, and they brought in an old school director in Ron Howard, who everybody knew, who was a approved Lucasfilm director, who could put this movie on quote unquote the right track. I still think it would have been really interesting if Solo was a more comedic take on Han Solo. Keep everybody, you know, Donald Glover's Lando, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the robot, whatever. Forget the name of the robot. K2SO times 2 or whatever. If you had them make that movie that they were making, who's to say that it wouldn't have been great? We'll never know. But that decision was made because of whatever reason. Rian Johnson, coming off of movies like Brick, another interesting choice for a director. And remember, this idea that they didn't have a plan for the sequel trilogy is not true. They did have a plan, because you know that Duel of the Fates script that I read, and it was that if they had made that Duel of the Fates script, it would have been. What's that?
You read the script?
Yeah, I was the first person to report on it. It was leaked to me specifically to report on. But when I read that script, that was Colin Trevorrow. They had a plan, and everybody was building off of that. What happened was they didn't think Carrie Fisher would die. Damn. And that was problematic. Now, people didn't like. Here's the thing about The Last Jedi. I don't like all the colloquial stuff in The Last Jedi. But Luke, at the end of Last Jedi, Luke does the most gangster Jedi shit ever. He confronts the First Order, and he's not even there. You know, he's not even there. And talk about a demonstration of full-on Jedi power. The problem was J.J. Abrams comes along, and Disney, by the way, this is not a Kathleen Kennedy thing. Disney wanted new characters. They're not going to build a $4 billion franchise around old people.
Yeah, but they fucked them up though.
Right, but that was This was a Disney thing, and they bring in J.J. Abrams. The mistake they made was J.J. Abrams can bamboozle everybody because he's known everyone in Hollywood since he was a kid. They all love him. But if you look at his 5 science fiction movies, none of them are good. You might like them, but none of them from a storytelling standpoint. His Star Trek movies aren't good. Super 8 is a Spielberg, Stephen King rehash, and then he made Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker. I mean, you have to ask yourself, in the beginning of and here's the thing, from a Star Wars perspective, if you want to look at great classical storytelling, if you look at the crawl of the first Star Wars, you know, it is a period of civil war. Just think about that crawl. It is a period of civil war. Okay, got it. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base and won their first victory over the evil galactic. Get it. I understand. You see those 3 paragraphs, and in the next 5 minutes, all of those things that they've just explained, you get it. There's the princess. Oh, she's putting the stolen plans into these wacky robots. Everything you need to know is set up. We just haven't seen the Death Star. We know those are the plans. What does that look like? We don't know. It's totally set up for you. At the beginning of the movie, who is Poe Dameron going to meet? Who is Lars von?
I can remember, dude.
Lars von. It's Max von Sydow. Who is that guy? You know, and you're going to find a map to where Luke is and everything, and then the First Order comes down and they're going after Poe Dameron. Well, first of all, the First Order? Where did they come from? There's so many questions that when you're watching that movie as a Star Wars fan, if you watch episodes 1 through 6, and then you start watching 7, let's say you're 8 years old. The first thing you're going to say to yourself is, Dad or Mom, wait a minute. I just watched Return of the Jedi and they defeated the Empire. Who are these guys? Who are these Apple Store stormtroopers and what are they doing? Where the Emperor was defeated. None of it makes a lick of sense.
Yeah.
All they did was this weird soft reboot, and we all know this, but from a corporate standpoint, they probably thought, oh, this is great. We'll just, start over. A corporation is not going to think to themselves, well, wait a minute, at the end of episode 6, the Empire was defeated. Everyone's cheering across the galaxy, and now you're resetting the table. Who are these people? How do they win?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that the franchise that we just bought, that we spent $4 billion for, you're going to say that all of those heroes over 6 movies allowed this thing to happen again?
Exactly.
But
How? What? I mean, and I get it. From a corporate standpoint, they're like, you gotta come back to.
Mafia always freezes every time he tries to make a point.
That's all right. No. I agree. I'm just saying, like, if they had a plan, it sure didn't look like they had one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Literally, it looked just like desperation, bro. To me, it really looked like desperation. It looked like they just didn't to have a plan where you completely, and it just shows me that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, I don't know if there was a rift there or not, but it was just like everything that you did in this last film, I'm just going to shit on. It was just like it became competition between them two. And when I look at Last Jedi, I mean the Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker makes the Last Jedi like a pearl, like it does. Yeah, it looks like it makes it look so much better. Like I can literally sit back and watch. And even when I sat back and I watched The Last Jedi and the conversation that Luke had with Rey. See, the thing is, I'm high on conversation. I just love the overload of information, and I love to listen to people talk. And it's that conversation he had with Rey I loved, even though like what they did to Luke, I did not agree with. But if I had to compare both films, I don't understand why he completely scrapped everything that we got from that movie. You know what I mean? Rian Johnson destroys Kylo Ren's helmet. J.J. Abrams has it remade. You know what I mean? Like literally has it remade.
That just shows you how all over the place they were.
And what was the reason? And why did he basically have it remade if he wasn't gonna wear it the entire fucking film? He took it off. He wore it once and then took it off. That was it.
Well, it seemed like an inner office feud.
It just made no sense. It really made no sense, man. Yeah. And the thing is, we got hoodwinked again with the trailer because the trailer, it looked pretty good.
trailer
It
was
looked pretty
dope.
good, and everybody was excited about it. But then we got the film, and it was bullshit. You know what I mean? So, bro, again, but I still stay optimistic. That's all I'm saying. I am still optimistic about where it's going to go, and I hope that the future can be bright. That's all I'm going to say.
I've been saying it. In the hands of a great writer, you can take characters like Ray and Finn and make them work and make a good story. I have friends that have wrote scripts like, look, what do you think about this? And I was like, dude, some of it made me cry. And I'm like, dude, you need a job. What the hell? Why, if you're writing this, why the hell they can't write? Give us something that, like Rob was saying, we want a good story. That's what people want. We want, at the end of the day, we want a good story. And any of those characters, frankly, in the sequels, I didn't really care about. I don't care if they come back.
Exactly.
And that's bad. That's bad. It shouldn't be that way. Those characters should be treated like assets and given great stories and great tales. And that's what's going on. And even, going back to Marvel, I think that's what's going on with Marvel right now too. I think they have a lot of characters that they're into, but I think a lot of those characters are not breaking through like that was. Because I mean, who the hell knew about Iron Man? Before the MCU, he wasn't a big character. More people knew way more about Wolverine and the X-Men than they knew about damn Iron Man.
Sure, of course. But they turned it around. But Rob, here's the thing, and I remember this because I remember on one of your streams, Rob, you had brought it up as well, where like, and kind of touched on it right now, is that they just want to make the money, though. They're not all about like the fandom and the writing, right? They're like, what can we produce that's just going to make money? We don't give a shit.
And also remember, they're deciding what they're doing based on marketing analytics and spreadsheets and things that they can look at and quantify. And what they're not able to quantify is what's the difference. I mean, X-Wings. I mean, I would ask, one of the interesting things too about the J.J. Abrams about Force Awakens that I don't understand is it takes place 30 years. And somebody was saying this. I was watching this the other day, and I totally agree with it. I've been saying this for years. One of the interesting things about the original trilogy is they always gave us some new shit. Like you got snow speeders and Imperial walkers in Empire. Remember that when you first saw Empire, and they're looking at the horizon, and you see the Imperial walkers coming, and remember the one shot when you see the first scout walker going, you're like, oh man, like they have little ones too, and the snow speeders and all that, and then you have Cloud City, and you have twin pod cloud cars, and you have the Executor, and you have all this new stuff. There's not a new thing there's no new hero spaceship. You have the Millennium Falcon, and you have X-Wings that are different colors. Like it's 30 years have gone on. You had the Empire was deposed. The rebels were using the X-Wings and the Y-Wings because they were old and they were able to be repurposed. Like what would they build when they now have the resources to create a whole new Starfleet? Where's the new ships? Where's the cool new gleaming X-Wing fighters? Yep. No new ideas. Even the dreadnoughts. Let's make dreadnoughts or whatever. I mean, and it was so disappointing to see like there was no one even like all the design work. Like the first thing I would be is like, okay, man, it's 30 years later. Now there's no more rebellion. We now have the New Republic. They got money. What is it going to look like? What are our new planes going to look like? We've got 30 years of new technology and what's come out of the war.
To your point, right? I mean,
and we got nothing. Yeah. Like, how do you?
Why is the Millennium Falcon always getting stolen, bro? Like, why? Right. Like twice, both J.J. Abrams films, the Millennium Falcon was stolen.
Well, like, you know what's also really interesting too. So as we saw in Solo, we saw the Millennium Falcon when it was new and it was all covered up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was badass. But when we see the Millennium Falcon sitting on the ground on Jakku, you mean with the winning the war, you didn't put the Millennium Falcon back into brand new cherry condition? Like it's still exposed. Right. It looks just like the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. What a hunk of junk. She'll do 0.5 past light speed. She's got to work
Right.
down. I
And
mean,
that's
why
the
isn't the
bad-
Millennium Falcon a gleaming, brand new, like when somebody restores a 1950s Roadster and it's like
Right.
this candy apple. I'm not saying you have to make the Millennium Falcon candy apple, but you know what I mean?
Right.
This gleaming, it should have looked cooler than we've ever seen the Millennium
But you
Falcon
know what the
look.
problem with that is, though, Rob? Here's the problem. We can sit here and say that, but there's a lot of fans that would have pushed back against that, bro. That
But
doesn't
see-
look like the Millennium Falcon
but-
that we know.
but
see,
and that
that's
thing
the
is just like, that's fucked up.
Well,
But
it would
that's
still
the
be the
bad-
Falcon if it was
but
all
that's the-
clean and new.
If it
Yeah.
was clean and new, but see, the thing is, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people didn't like that in this particular version, or this that it didn't have the
Circular dish.
the circular dish on top of it.
Well,
And
but
we're
the
not
thing
even
is,
remembering it was destroyed in Jedi, but people just didn't like that it wasn't replaced with the circular dish.
yeah, but the thing is, I mean, you have to explain that it's like 30 years later and you
Mhm.
make it a plot point. Like the first
Yeah.
time when you reintroduce the I mean, here's one of the great hero, if not the greatest hero spaceship. I mean, the Enterprise is a capital ship. It's different than the Falcon. The Falcon is a hot rod. The Falcon is arguably the greatest superhero spaceship in cinema history. All you had to do was reintroduce it doing something cool.
Sure.
Like with Han Solo behind the wheel, like he's doing something like he's now General Solo. And when you meet him, he's out there pacifying. I don't know what he's got, the Rebel fleet, or not the Rebel fleet. You got the New Republic fleet of all of these gleaming new ships that we've never seen before, led by the sparkling, brand new looking Falcon. And it would be so cool because it looked cool in Solo, but this would be even cooler. And it would still look like the Millennium Falcon, but it would look, because in the movie, plot wise, we saw the Millennium Falcon. He was a smuggler. You know,
Sure,
he was
yeah, of
put. It was
course,
put. It was held together with duct tape and bubble gum.
Yeah.
And it's like you give it new, and you give it a badass introductory scene where it reestablishes itself. We thought the Millennium Falcon was cool before. Now it is the coolest spaceship you have ever seen,
And you
ever.
exactly. But the one
There you
thing,
go.
okay, there was one thing good about the Rise of Skywalker. One particular scene that I thought
end
was
credits?
good.
Yeah.
that too. But no, listen. Honestly, like there was, and look, I am. A lot of people don't like when I say this, but I am unapologetically a Rey fan. I love Rey. I love the character. I just think that with good writing, you can make her good.
Sure.
You just have to have decent writing. But
Yeah.
the one thing that I liked about that movie was they actually showed us how fast the Millennium Falcon was. Remember
Yeah.
when Poe said,
That's good.
"Hey, I'm fast." He's like, "But this ship is faster," and we seen the Millennium Falcon smoke.
Like, yeah.
He smoked that X-wing fighter, bro. But that's the one aspect about it that I think was good. By the way, not to on a side note, I did get my notification from Hot Toys. My Cosca Reeves is shipping on Monday.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I don't know what happened to Rob.
Coming
I don't know if he
quick.
accidentally closed the window.
Yeah, he probably did.
So we're gonna find
His internet was
out.
getting janky too, but yeah.
It could be. I did want to bring up this super chat. I don't know what happened to Rob, so we'll
Yeah.
give him a second.
That's cool. The sideshow was getting those figures out fast like that.
Yeah,
That's
it is,
dope.
bro.
There he
that's
is.
dope.
Boom.
That was weird. What happened there?
I thought you just kind of did a moment and
I
clicked
thought
on it.
somebody came in and said that there was a script that you needed to read.
No, my image froze.
And then you got
that had
booted
never
out.
happened before, and then I suddenly it like failed the
Oh.
I don't know why it was
I
weird.
wasn't. Yeah, I have no idea.
You should open up. You should actually open up a office Rob's script reading and reviews.
Stop that. Don't.
No?
No. But you know, to be honest, you know, I did do that for a living for years. I read
No.
screenplays for production companies and for agencies, and and by the way, if I might recommend, because a director friend recommended these books to me,
Mhm.
I got them the other day. I got both of them, but they are two of the best books on screenwriting and just storytelling. I would highly recommend everybody in the world, if you love movies or have even a cursory interest in writing, there's 2 books by a guy named John Truby, Truby. One of them is called The Anatomy, just Anatomy of Genres. And the other one is called The Anatomy of Story, 22 Steps to Becoming a Master Storyteller.
Ooh.
And I got both of these books. They are the best books on screenwriting I've ever read. And I've read Save the Cat, and I've read Robert McKee's books on story. I've read so many different screenwriting books. These are the best. And not just for screenwriting, but for just storytelling or any kind of writing. So John Truby, Truby, and The Anatomy.
I'm actually buying those tonight. That's dope.
The Anatomy of Story and The Anatomy of Genres. And they're
22 steps to becoming a master storyteller.
Yeah. They're great. They're great books.
Okay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
If I could, Batman Collectibles, thank you, my man, for the $20 super chat. He said, random thought or question for Rob and crew. I feel like DC needs a long break, years possibly. Continue on with solo films like Batman 2 and Joker 2. I'm sorry, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think gun is the answer. Thank you so much.
There's a lot of people saying that, bro. There's a lot of people basically saying that because here's my thought, bro. My thought pattern is that the reason why, and just walk with me here, bro. The reason why the Flash film itself, aside from the CG and all that, and Ezra, the reason why, one of the biggest reasons why I believe that, and even though I trust him, I trust James Gunn because he has shown me that he can tell a great story. He is a master storyteller, and he knows how to take characters that you probably could give 2 F's about and makes them so interesting. You're invested in a character, so I definitely do trust him.
Sure.
And I know that in the right hands, in him, in his direction, or if he oversees a project and the passion that he gives a project because of his understanding of the lore, because he is a nerd himself and he reads comics and he understands these characters, he gets it. But on the flip side, I will say that one of the reasons why, in my opinion, the Flash failed was also because of James Gunn. And just give me a chance here. The reason why I say that was because, again, of the announcement of change, bro. Again, we go back to it. The announcement of change. People do not accept change, knowing the simple fact that we weren't going to have Cavill, that Wonder Woman, I think we won't have her either, that we're not going to have Ben Affleck. Everything is going to be changed. People, in a sense, bro, had given up. Like, why would I invest myself in seeing a film of a character that may not exist in his universe anymore? And that's what I feel. A lot of it was because people just didn't care. Hey, baby, I see you. A lot of people just really, really, really didn't care at some point. But in a lot, it was right on this film, bro. Like, again, problems that they had with Ezra, and their, issues. People were complaining about the CG, but also I think that people felt as though, look, these characters aren't going to be around anymore, so why should I care? You know what I mean? So there's a lot in that, but I do believe that with James Gunn, if he's committed to telling a good story, bro, I think he could do it. I think it's like a wait and see type of situation for me, as long as, again, we always go back to casting. Does this person look the part? I don't really think anybody's going to look apart. It's just how well they can give us the essence of the character, bro.
Yeah, but I think go ahead, Jake. I'll let you go.
No, I was going to say, I agree. I agree to that, but I think you're right. I think it was a lot of things that derailed this movie. I think the problem with Ezra Miller and their issues, that was part of it. I think the bad CGI was part of it. Even the people that were looking forward to it, like myself, it was things, even then, it was still bad. Like, like I think they could have used more Supergirl in it. Sport. No one. Stuff like that. And it's like, and then even stuff with the storytelling, even what happens with the Keaton Batman, and it's like, what the hell?
Hey, Jay, no Reverse Flash.
That's probably the biggest. That was probably one of the biggest problems right there. So
but do you think because they did that in the CW so much that they were just like, we don't want to write this? Or
so because the thing is, then why would you tell that story? Why would you basically tell this story because everybody's familiar with the Flashpoint and what happened in that story and why his mom died?
Sure.
So I think that it was just and not capitalize on, but then wait until the film has already released and people have seen it for the director to say, well, yeah, Reverse Flash was the person who killed Flash's mom. Why'd
you just completely omit that from the movie?
Yeah, like why? What was the reason?
What do you think?
Oh shit!
What'd you say? He's like, I guess he's gonna say, what did you think, Rob?
I was like,
I was just trying to mimic what he was going to say.
I have to say that I like the Flash. A lot of people didn't. I
loved it.
I was really surprised by that. I really liked the Flash. I thought they succeeded. 𝗕𝗓𝗄 succeeded in doing exactly what he wanted to do. By the way, I just want to point out we're on right now, but if you turn on the CW right now, the 1982, The Greatest Geek Year Ever is airing right as we speak. So you
on right now.
It's okay. I'll watch on the app. It's fine. I'll catch up. But and we're supposed to do a show later, Lael.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm a kind of, go upstairs and hug the missus a little bit.
But no. Look, I think you're right. I think they should have waited for announcements about the DC universe. Of course, then they still have Blue Beetle and they still got Aquaman coming out, and the word coming out about Aquaman is not good. Which
I'm not even gonna go see it. I'm definitely not.
What's the point?
but again, yeah. I mean, I still believe though that James Wan. I mean, I know James Wan. I respect James Wan. I can't imagine he would make something that's a complete disaster. Yeah, I mean, I like the Flash, but yeah, they should have waited, and we would have known that James Gunn would have done this. I would have waited till the end of the year. What's the rush? Yeah. We know that these movies are all coming out. Let them come out. The fan community wasn't even given a chance to look. There is so much pre-hatred for everything now, and I'm tired of it. I don't like the fact that people have already decided. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was not as bad of a movie as people make it out to be.
Exactly.
And the Phoebe Waller-Bridge stuff. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I'll say it right now. Fleabag is really good. The first season of Killing Eve is really good that she wrote. And it's absurd to pillory her the way she's been pilloried.
I loved her in this film, bro. I loved her in this film.
I mean, she's a very talented woman, and it bothers me. It's like, you guys didn't watch Fleabag. And you certainly didn't watch Killing Eve, which is the first season of that was great. And the funny thing is, fans would have liked Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Unfortunately, because of Solo, because of the fact that she was brought on to rewrite No Time to Die. No Time to Die's problems was not Phoebe Waller-Bridge, her writing. That movie was ill-conceived from the beginning. The story they were telling was ridiculous. To once again do that to Bond, unconscionable. But this idea, like, how many again, we have a problem. Let's deconstruct Han Solo. Let's kill him in a stupid way. Let's get rid of Indiana Jones. He's an old man. Let's take your pick. Logan, he died too because he's old, and his adamantium, his healing factor is not working, whatever. It's become this ridiculous, overused cliche trope to take these aging. Why? You know what? If I'd made an Indiana Jones movie, and I've said this, why, after everything that Indiana Jones has seen, would he be an embittered old man? He's seen evidence that God exists. He's seen miracles. He's seen the power of the Sankara stones. He knows that mysticism is real. He can't just, I've seen things I can't understand or I can't explain. You can't explain them. You told government operators, power of God. Yes, that's just what the Hebrews thought, and they were right. They were right. You told the government operators, you open that Bible. It was right there. It's the power of God. Shut your eyes, Marion. Don't look at it. Why did you say that? Because you knew it was the power of God. And when you open your eyes again, the Nazis were gone. How did that happen? God. God. And then how did your father get, he drank the, here's a knight that's been in a room for 500 effing years.
Grail.
He gave you the Holy Grail. God. Again, the power of the divine is alive and well on Earth. Then you have aliens. Indiana Jones would have loved the idea that mankind is finally going out into space, because he's like, you might meet someone up there. He would know that. Like, he would know. So by the time Indiana Jones is now in the late 60s, the man's life has been spent observing wonder. He would have been a peyote eating, Gandalf talking mystic, telling people about the wonders of the universe and how we live in this. He would have been some crazy cracked, and people would have gone to his students would have flocked to his class. He would have been the crazy.
He's seen the miracles. I mean, he's lived through these acts of God.
I definitely agree.
He would have been taking LSD with Timothy Leary. He's like, he would have been opening the minds of perception. And why they decided to let's go deconstruct him. Like, deconstruct him. That guy doesn't need to be deconstructed. His mind would have been out in La La Land. He would have been doing LSD experiments with Timothy Leary because he was another professor. He would have tuned in, tuned out, whatever. The Summer of Love. He would have been a total counterculture hippie, listening to Jefferson Airplane, listening to White Rabbit, and had Grace Slick posters on his wall. He would have been at the first Doors concert and whatever. I mean, that's the character you should have made. And Harrison Ford, he bring in the fact that, I get high. And he would have explained, let me tell you a story about it. When I was in the Amazon basin after I'd seen aliens, what happened to me later. And he would have told some story about how,
I love it.
He would have been, what he would have been? He would have been the William Hurt character in Altered States, who started using sensory deprivation tanks to find the first truth, and I mean, that's what he would have been, because
addicted to everything that he has actually discovered, and it's not making him, and I get it, bro, like what you said, it is making him in that trope that everybody is used, that when someone ages, they become bitter or they want to step away from something that they know. It is the same fucking trope that they continue to use, bro. And I'm
all the time. And you ask yourself, it's like, look, we did it in Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. Kirk's like, I'm a professor now, I'm teaching the kids how I'm on a simulator. And what does McCoy say, when they're celebrating his birthday? Get back your command. Get it back before you turn into part of this collection, before you really do grow old. What does Kirk say at the end? After Spock has died and he confronts Khan, I feel young. That's what he says at the end of Star Trek 2. That was 41 years ago. By the way, that's another ad for 1982, the year of all time, on the CW right now. But yeah, it's like we've been playing the same trope for decades.
Yeah, it's tiring. It's very tiring.
Like Indiana Jones is not a beaten, demoralized, embittered man. If anything, he's turned into Gandalf. He's Gandalf the White, not Gandalf the Gray. He's Gandalf the White, because he's seen the Balrog. He's fallen down to the center of the earth and survived. Yeah, and he would have shown up, and that's what he would have been. I mean, can you imagine if when you first meet him, he's got this, like, he looks like Alan Moore, with the big beard, and he looks like he like walks in and looks like Gandalf. As a matter of fact, because Lord of the Rings was big in the 60s, they could have been making Gandalf jokes about him. And then what would have been badass is when he finds out about Archimedes or whatever, then there would have been the moment where he shaves, and like the next time you see him, and you could have replayed the moment from the beginning of Raiders when he's in the shadows and he steps into the light after you've already seen him like holding, whatever, he's smoking out with his students and stuff, and you're gonna see a Mandela effect, and it's gonna put the zap on your mind, but we're gonna go into the universe and back. Really, Dr. Jones? Yes, and you're all coming with me, and then when because
that's not very Disney.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem. They have this corporate. They're like, he's like the old man in Up. You know, that's what somebody said, and it's like that isn't Indiana Jones.
It's not Indiana Jones.
I mean,
They're
you
not
should have
serving a character.
You should have a smile on your face. You know, look at the beginning. Yes, you have a great action sequence back in the World War II. You know, the flashback sequence, which is kind of like mirrors the flashback in Last Crusade when you have a little Indy, you know, during the time of World War I or whatever, when he's a scout. But still, man, do we have to see it yet again? The old man trope again? Again.
Yeah, like that.
Can I ask you guys this? Is it worth seeing this?
Because I haven't seen it yet.
Yes. Because you know what? There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good in it. You know,
there's definitely a lot of good in it. There's a lot of things that, again, bro, like take yourself and I said this before, bro, like the expectation that an almost 81-year-old man can do some of the same things that we're used to. You got to kind of take that out of the whole equation. So I think that they kind of filmed around that, but it's worth, in my opinion, I think it is definitely worth. It's not as bad as people are trying to make it out to be. And I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character wasn't as annoying as people want to say it was, bro. I think that she contributed in her own way, but you know, people are used to what we know about Indy. And I think that from here going forward, hopefully this is the last film that we actually get. Hopefully they'll actually stick to their guns and say that we're not going to make another film. Because I think that, look, you know, everything that you could have done or would have done, just let it go and just let this be whatever it is. You know what I mean? And I would still go see it. Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I'll watch it, but I'm not like excited to go see it. Right. Like, I wasn't even excited for Crystal Skull. I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, all right, well, we'll go check it out. And I wasn't a big fan. So then I was like, well, and you know, Last Crusade, it wrapped. And then now we got another one. And I'm like, it just starts to remind me of like, I don't know, man, just like almost desperation. So I was like, I'm a little turned off.
Yeah.
You know?
That's how I felt.
But that's what they've forgotten, that they have. Indiana Jones is an escapist fantasy that's supposed to put a smile on your face. You know, from the very beginning, it's supposed to leave you breathless. You know, and why they would deviate from that formula, I don't know.
I don't know either. I will say real quick though, Lane, thank you so much. Real quick, just to address this super chat says, I'm sorry, the Helena character was an annoying character in Dial Destiny. However, she was no worse than Mutt's character, Kingdom of Crystal Skull. Well, I haven't seen
Willie Scott in Temple of Doom was annoying too.
Oh God, yes.
But you know, by design.
Right.
Yep.
But it's true. It was intentional, right? I mean,
that
was an intentional deal.
And that's the thing, man. I find the whole thing, it's all very strange to me. But when you have corporate, like, why doesn't Disney like put the call out and go, hey, okay, we bought Star Wars for $4 billion. We are going to allow the 20 greatest filmmakers working today to come in and pitch us their vision, tell us what we should make. Like, I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah. But
nowadays, no one's going to take that opportunity now. You're never going to get an A-list filmmaker who's ever going to jump into that well. Look at how James Mangold, who's done nothing but deliver great work to the fan community, whether it's Logan. I mean, the Wolverine's still pretty good. Logan is fantastic. The Wolverine was pretty good. 310 to Yuma, Ford v Ferrari, Identity, Copland with Sylvester Stallone, Night and Day with Cameron Diaz and Tom Cruise. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, it is.
What did the fan community do?
Bash. Destroyed him. They destroyed him. That's the problem. That's the
biggest all those problem. Movies.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but why didn't the fan community give him the benefit of the doubt?
Nope. That's the problem, bro. They can put that call out to any director that they want and say, hey, people and directors have said it. Oh, no, I will not touch that franchise because of the toxicity.
Chris McQuarrie making Mission Impossible. He's not going to do it.
He won't do it because of the fandom. This is basically what and a lot of people are like, well, no, you can't blame the fandom for bad films. But if there's a catch-22 to that, though, as well, because there are films that we haven't even seen yet that people are just willing to attack and destroy. So I mean, it's bro. Look, I agree. There are certain films that were bad, and we have a right to basically voice our opinions about it. But when you start attacking people and just, I mean, literally, bro, it doesn't have to go that far. And the man hasn't even touched the films yet. He hasn't even made his film yet, and people are counting him out, bro.
But
Like,
see, the good thing well, on the flip side of that is, then you have some people that are some new hungry directors ready to cut their teeth on something, and they'll give you some dope shit. And I think that's what we need. You know, we
Disney
need
has
somebody
to listen to the ideas.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, and I'll probably wrap on this one because I know you guys are gonna have to go soon.
Yeah, I gotta go. My dogs are barking at me.
Everything. I'll just say this on a final note to that is that it could be fandom. Sure, there's fandom there, but after everything we've talked about and we've all kind of mentioned and touched on our own shows, is that the corporate side of things really dictates everything underneath the umbrella. So, you know, if the corporates, you know, the corporate push is saying, hey, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to do this, then it's your job underneath as a producer to go, okay, I'm going to hire people who will do what you up at the top want me to do. And what the people at the top want is not the stuff that the fans want. So then it's this perpetual cycle seemingly lately anyway, right? Where the fans are like, well, fuck you, this shit sucks. And then the directors and everybody else and the writers are like, well, I don't know if I can touch this. But it's because the top saying, hey, this is how we want it. And it's just something's got to give eventually.
Well, I think the top is realizing that they're a bag of bullshit. Like they don't have an understanding of the IP. They don't. It's not about just dollars and cents. It's about good storytelling. And if you're stepping away,
though, that's the problem.
Yeah, but it's
so then they don't look at it like they're like, well, what's lucrative? Fuck it, like we're making money.
Exactly. But the thing is, that well would run dry. Look, hell, we're seeing that right now with DC.
Yeah, but then they just reshuffle the management. Like
they need to do something, bro.
Grindhouse, though, isn't it? Like
do something. They need to do something, bro. And I think I'm just waiting to see, but they need to do something. They just need to get out of the creative's way. Plain and simple.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I do.
Get out of the creative's way.
Yes.
Just let them create. Let them tell the story that they want to tell, and have the confidence and belief in them that they will. Instead of just retelling and rehashing on stories that were already told. There was even now, as much as I love, and I won't keep everybody too long, but as much as I basically love, and you know what, never mind, because I don't want it, because these two haven't seen it. There was a certain scene in this movie that was a rehash of what we actually got from
Raiders.
Not even what Raiders, and also not Last Crusade, but
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. There was two scenes in his film that was a rehash on both those films. And it's just like, you got to stop. Like, stop doing that. Like, just stop and tell fresh new stories with new ideas. Stop. Because the thing is, we are accepting of that. Creatives, get the fuck out of the way of the director and the writer's way. Get the fuck out of the way and let them write. Let them do their jobs. Like, plain and simple. That's the only thing. That's the only way that you'll make the money, and actually both ways. You'll make money and you'll have people on your side, bro. But if you continue to go down this road, you're gonna still hear this shit. And people are just, I don't know, man. This is fucked up.
It is.
Guys, we're gonna wrap. This is a good discussion.
What was this show? We were supposed to talk about toys?
Yeah, I mean, there was something that we were gonna look, guys. It's always fun. We're passionate. We love movies. We love bitching.
He's always freezing, man. Come on, man. Stop. Stop freezing up, Mafia. Stop.
What?
You're freezing up, man.
Am I freezing up? Am I okay? Well, listen, guys, we're gonna wrap. Let me just quickly, Jay, dude, pleasure as always.
Absolutely, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure being here with you guys and just talking this stuff. You know, I love it. Love it. Definitely.
You dropped your review. We just checked it out for Fennec. You got Cosca Reeves
Check it
coming
out.
up.
Cosca Reeves will be out. She'll be here Monday, and the review will be going up Monday as well. So that's
Nice.
what's going on. And a Good Morning Grails at some point. Hopefully a bank robber Joker.
Yeah, well, I am cleaning out stuff here, so you know what? I've got the box. This came in. Maybe I'll just repurpose it. This Mondo Wolverine. So I'll just
that'll work.
Box. It will work.
That will work.
That will work.
Yeah.
As always, Jay's always, go subscribe to Brother Cousins if you haven't. I got links in the description for everybody here. We'll just go quickly before we roll. Rob, awesome discussion as always. You guys have a show coming up.
Yeah, Midnight Musings in 40 minutes.
I know, that's why I was trying to get it but it's so
Well, show up when he can,
I'll be there.
I'm gonna go feed the dogs, and I gotta go. I have to go. They're barking. They're really barking.
No, of course. I want you to go get a drink, use the bathroom, do whatever you guys are gonna do. Guys, go watch Rob in 40 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm on TV right now. If you watch the CW, 1982, the greatest geek year ever,
CW.
or watch on the CW app for free.
And it was called one more time. We talked about it in the beginning.
It's called 1982, the greatest geek year ever.
Yeah.
4 episodes every Saturday.
At 8 o'clock. Yep. Starting tonight.
All right, guys.
And write me back. Tell me what you think. Give me reviews.
I will watch it. Yeah. Brian Hepper said Rob's on the CW show right now. Yeah. Right now. So
that's awesome.
Awesome. You guys subscribe to Rob, of course. Last but not least, Lael, my man. Thank you for
yeah, man. I'll be on Midnight Music tonight. Tomorrow, Collecting's Lounge International Comic Book Talk with Friends on Monday. Wednesday, Say What. I'm going to be modding this. I'm swapping out the body on this.
So you're going to go with Fison?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a Fison. Shout out to Young Bum for the information, man. I appreciate you, brother. I'm going to actually, I kind of.
I do like that post.
Yeah, so I'm going to basically, repose this and add a body. So we'll see how that goes. But yep, that's it.
Hell yeah. That is awesome. Guys, of course, if you haven't subscribed to Lael, of course, link is in the description. But all night, everybody check everybody out. Rob, you guys are doing in a half hour.
Yeah.
What is going on with me? Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if it's going to be Monday or not. But if it's not this week, it may be Monday. I may have Terry Metalis on, showrunner Picard season 3. It's going to be awesome. It should be this week. If not, it'll be next week. And then Tuesday, I do have Shiloh on. He is the founder of New Wave Toys. So that's going to be Tuesday night. They make all these awesome arcades that I have. It's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about all that coming up. And I think that's going to be it for the week. But guys, thank everybody, all you guys coming in, tuning in, hitting that like, hitting that sub to everybody here. We got to go, though. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. And come join us in the Discord. I put the link in the chat as well, man. Come say hi. Sometimes we'll be out there. Well, we're always in there, but we may do some after show stuff in there. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, just be excellent, right, Jay?
Be excellent and party on, dudes.
Yeah. All right, guys. You guys have a good night. We're out of here. Peace out.